Welcome to Making MarTech, where we spotlight innovative MarTech companies and leaders who are driving growth, highlighting valuable insights and actionable strategies to stay ahead in this industry. Today, we're here with Phil Portman, CEO of Textdrip. Hey Phil, how you doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm good. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for having me on your show.
Of
My name
course.
is Phil Portman. I am a serial entrepreneur. I started off in real estate, had a food delivery company franchised across 6 states. Now I'm primarily in tech, and I am the founder and CEO of Textdrip, a business texting platform that empowers businesses to connect with their customers through personalized, compliant text messages. We're all about simplifying communication for companies, whether it's marketing, customer support, or driving engagement, while keeping things efficient and, importantly, respectful of privacy regulations. So, my background has been in building solutions that bridge the gap between technology and real human connection. And that's what drives us every day at TechStrip.
And how'd you get into becoming an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so this is kind of a long story back, but I was in the corporate world and I was traveling a lot, living out of a hotel. And my wife and I had just gotten married and had our first child. And I didn't want my kids growing up as raised by a single mother with me gone all the time. I wanted to be in their life. And so I said, you know what, whether I fail or not, I want to do this on my own. I want to figure this out. And so I can manage my time better. I could be there for my kids for games and things like that and be a part of their life. And so that was the primary motivator for me becoming an entrepreneur. And anybody getting into entrepreneurship, I would tell them, figure out what your main motivator is beyond money. Like, what is your main motivator? Because there will be times, mark my word, there will be times where you are questioning what on earth you're doing this for. That it'd be so much easier for you to just go back to the business world and all of these things would be somebody else's problem and you could just get a paycheck. And it needs that bigger purpose, that bigger reason for why you're doing it. So mine was my family.
That's really well put. And you also run a podcast, right?
I do. Absolutely. Yeah. So I run a podcast called Success Is, and I interview people and ask them what their version of success is. What does it mean to them? And you get all sorts of different reasons other than just money. Like, what does success mean to you? What's your overall purpose? And I've interviewed people from hedge fund managers to entrepreneurs to authors, stunt women, a little bit of everything. And then I asked them, like, what are the steps it took to achieve your version of success? And recently I took all of the thoughts that they had, as well as some of my own life experiences. And I've written a book that'll be coming out here in the next couple of months.
That's awesome. And right now, your main focus is on Textdrip, right?
That's right. Yeah. Textstrip is our main company. It's been growing great. And it's been growing because of the effectiveness of it. We just had a company that's a services based business,
Mhm.
and they primarily deal with a door to door and phone calls. And they've just implemented TextStrip and said, "Oh my God, we've seen a 20% increase in our business almost overnight from just implementing our solution." We just had a message from a recruiting company
Mhm.
that was previously recruiting kind of the old school way, flipped over to TextDrip and is just blown away at the number of applicants that they have and the effectiveness of it. It's that's part of it, is the effectiveness of it. And the other part that kind of goes along with the effectiveness of it is the compliance component. And there's been a lot of compliance changes since 2019, and TextDrip has been at the forefront of it, managing that so our customers don't have to. So we make sure that in the industry where there's compliance changes, we're helping them through that and managing as much on our end as we can so they don't have to deal with it.
And can you break down exactly what Textdrip does? I know
Yeah.
you gave us that general idea of what it does, but can you like walk us through the process? What does that end up looking like?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So I found that a lot of CRMs were very email centric, with texting as kind of this afterthought. Like it was
Mhm.
like some random plugin they threw on there. Right. nobody really had a good text marketing platform that worked well.
Hmm.
And so the thing with texting is it has over a 98% open rate. You get responses in 90 seconds versus 90 minutes with email. It's a much higher response rate, open rate, and it's just far more effective for instant communication and instant response from a customer. Whereas email is kind of a more of a slower drip component. Not only that, but it is the most preferred way of communication for Americans under 47 years of age. Right. So we said, well, if this is not only the most effective way of communication, but the most preferred way of communication, what if we made this the central component and built everything else out around it?
Hmm.
So that's what we did. And so when we say we built everything around it, not just the technology, but our entire company, our understanding of it. We have other companies that specialize in, say, email and phone and other things that partner with us because of our expertise around text messaging specifically.
Hmm.
So if you're an individual that wants to market to your customers through text messaging, we're the expert. If you want to use text messaging for customer service, we're the expert in that. So in any capacity that you're looking for your system to handle the automation behind it, that's where Textdrip comes in. And we handle it not only through drip campaigns, which is in our name Textdrip, but we also handle it through AI and understanding the intent on the conversations. And then we have a beautiful interface that works like a messaging platform should. We have a beautiful mobile app that works like a messaging app should, easy, intuitive, responsive. And so people that come over to our platform find that it just works. It's effective. And you hear stories. If you look across the web, just research Textdrip reviews, you'll see stories all over about people who have completely changed their process when they came on board. And I'm somebody who says, put your money where your mouth is. So we do a completely free trial for everyone that comes on board. We
Hmm.
pay for like your campaign registry fees and stuff like that through TCPA and all that. We
Hmm.
put our money where our mouth is because we say, if you come over to us, you're going to stick with us because you love it. You love the white glove treatment that you get from somebody that comes on, and we have a demo specialist that helps them set up their account, walks them through it and all that. And there's no risk to you because you can use it for 2 weeks.
Look at that. So, Phil, you say that TechStrip has a heavy focus on compliance, right? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2019, they started rolling out some regulations for 10 DLC. And 10 DLC stands for 10-digit long codes. It is what your cell phone number is. That's different than short codes and 800 numbers. Prior to 19's rollout, they had initially designed just short codes and toll-free numbers to be used for business, not 10-digit long codes. But if you're a local business or you want to market specifically to people showing up as a local business, you want a local area code. And so 10-digit long code regulations came out. And the main purpose of it is that we were getting bombarded by overseas scammers. You get the COVID relief fund, right? Or, hey, Bank of America, click here to reset your password. All that stuff, that
Right.
traffic was coming across. And you still get some of it today, but it's limited. And it's limited because the only way that those overseas scammers can do it now is to hack an account, right? So they'll hack an account and they'll send messages out until they get kicked off and they get blocked. But what the 10 DLC registration, the campaign registration has done is you have to show that you are a US based business and explain why you're marketing to people. And this is typically for businesses that are doing more volume texting. If you're only sending 10, 20 text messages a day, then yeah, you could potentially do it through your cell phone. But eventually you reach a cap where the carriers identify and say, nah, you're using that for marketing. And they'll actually block or throttle your account for sending too many messages. That's when you come over to a platform like TextStrip because we're set up for volume. Not only are we set up for volume, but that's what we exist for. And that's what our relationship with the carriers is designed for. We're saying this person's going to send not 10, 20, 30 messages. They may be sending 100,000 messages, right? So we're helping you navigate that path, and not only how you send it, but also the duration that you can send it and all the other things on the back end that campaign registry has identified for your campaign.
And how do you do that?
Yeah. So when you set up, when you come on board with us, you're going to set up a demo with a specialist, and they're going to help you get all that figured out. So you're going to explain, hey, this is my business. This is what I do. And this is what I'm trying. This is the number of people I'm trying to contact. And then they'll actually help you coordinate that across the board and help you with some of your messaging. Just like an email, for instance, there are certain keywords and phrases that you can't use. Like if you've ever tried to use free in an email, you'll notice that it goes to spam, it gets blocked a lot. Well, that's same in texting. Only we have a lot of other words that we've identified that the carriers block or throttle or just don't look good. And so we help our customers by immediately identifying, and when they try to create their campaign, we actually highlight words that could cause problems in their campaign. And there's even certain words that we have to block. For instance, marijuana, although it's legal in certain states, federally, it's still illegal. So anything related to that, we have to block. And the carriers add new words that they're blocking all the time, right? I mean, you could probably think of all the ways that you can say marijuana, pot, kush, whatever. We have to block all of them, and that's to make sure that our customers can get the deliverability that they expect from our platform.
And what about who you're targeting?
Yeah, so us specifically, nowadays it's a little bit of everybody. We had started off with insurance, real estate, mortgage, and solar sales. Those were our primary targets. This day and age, though, more and more companies are moving over towards text marketing. And so I would say people that are looking for our type of platform are usually looking for large volume, but they want instant communication. Like that's the difference between email and text message specifically. Email is like a newsletter, nurturing. This is us, make you aware of us, what we have going on. Text messaging is, hey, I got this going on. Let's jump on a call right now. Right. Or
Right.
flash sale, or, hey, this house just hit the market. What do you think about this? Right. It's that instant communication, instant right then and there. Or, hey, just saw you in our shop today and wanted to let you know about this new promotion. You're trying to contact that person in that instant, and we're utilizing the fact that they are going to respond within 90 seconds. That's what we're ultimately looking for versus email. It's more of a nurturing campaign. So it once again, it's not for everybody. If you have a different process where you're trying to nurture your leads, educate your leads, and you don't want that instant communication with them, then text messaging is not for you. But if you are somebody who has a reason to instantly contact them, then text messaging, great. On the flip side of that, though, do keep in mind, if you take a list, let's say you have a contact list of 100,000 contacts, and you try to message them all at once, you will not be able to handle the responses that you get from that. And we've seen that from people that, especially like services-based business. They're like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed by it. So typically when you're starting off a campaign, we would recommend using 1,000 or less contacts and then growing gradually as you see how you can handle that.
And what do you think are some misconceptions that people tend to have about text message marketing?
Quite a few misconceptions around text message marketing. I think the major one is that the old example of text messaging where, maybe I'm getting too personal with somebody, right? Like people are not going to like getting a text message to their phone. But the data has shown that that's completely the opposite. It's not only the preferred way of communication, it's preferred over phone, email, and even face-to-face interactions. People really enjoy getting text messages because they can respond when they want to and they can get instant responses with it, right? So if I get a message from the guy working on my vehicle, the mechanic, if I get a text message from him, I know it's going to be back and forth pretty quickly, and we're going to get whatever the issue or billing or whatever resolved quickly. If I'm sending an email, I don't really expect that instant response. I say, well, he might not check the email until tomorrow on that, right? Maybe I should give him a call and find out, right? Customer support, same thing. If I can message back and forth with somebody, I can multitask just like their customer support can. So
Mhm.
on my end, I could be washing the dishes or talking to my wife about something and then respond back to them a text message. So it's more of a leisurely task. Whereas a phone call, I'm dedicated just to that interaction with that person. I can't go back and forth. So I think that's the main reasons why people like text messaging. But a major misconception right now is that text messaging is too personal, right? But it's actually the preferred way of communication for people. Now, obviously, if you're cold outreaching somebody that has no idea or no interest in what you're talking to them about, then yeah, absolutely, you're going to get a negative response on that. But if it's somebody who's interested in what you're talking about, they've opted in for it, then they're gonna have no problem receiving a message from you.
And given that, what do you think the ROI typically is based off these text messages?
Yeah, I mean that greatly depends on what your industry is, and what you do for it. So too many things to say on that, but I'll give you kind of some stats on why drip messaging works, right? So 80% of sales require 5 follow-ups, but 44% of salespeople give up after 1 attempt.
Mhm.
With Textdrip, it's constantly following up with them automatically. Companies that automate lead management like we do see on average a 10% increase in revenue in the first 6 to 9 months.
Mhm.
Contacting leads within 5 minutes of them coming in increases your conversion rate by 900%. 900%. And then when you compare it to email, there's um, a response rate of 45% with text messaging compared to 6% roughly for email. So if you took that and plug that into your business model and what you're offering and what your average sale is and that sort of thing, you can probably calculate some of the numbers on your own end. But we're talking to people and they're saying that they were able to flex their business in some situations. I mean, that's incredible.
Right.
Other companies like services-based businesses that have been in business for years to see a 20% increase in their business immediately just by using TextStrip is pretty
Mhm.
incredible as well. So
It is, yes.
but once again, completely free trial to check us out if you want to go on there and just use our money to see if it does increase your business. And if it does, great, keep working with us. And if it doesn't, you can tell us to kick rocks because we never have any contracts. We want you to use us because you're getting the best results possible out of our platform.
And I know you kind of touched on this, but what have been your biggest recent successes so far?
There's so many things, but the problem with that exact question is that could relate to business, could relate to employees, could relate to technology. But me specifically, there's a couple things that I really enjoy for me
Mhm.
personally. And the one is we do an employee satisfaction survey for all of our employees across all the countries that we work on. And we have over 70 employees that work for us. And every year, I'm a little anxious about what are we going to get back on the surveys. And the one we got this last year and the ones we always get are really positive. And the thing I really like hearing from them is, I love this company. You have me for life. I'm not going anywhere. It's the best company I've ever worked for. Like from the employee side, that's really cool that we've created a company that I personally would have loved to work for is probably one of the coolest parts about it. So on the one hand, that's one thing. The other side is the cool stuff that we're building, just
Mhm.
cool stuff. I mean, the AI stuff, right? Like we're building entire new features in a matter of hours that would have taken us months before to build. So conceptualizing an idea and pushing it to market is just so fast nowadays. And so when you have somebody who is constantly innovating and coming up with ideas in this day and age, it's so cool because we can just make things so fast right now. So that's one of the coolest things that I think right now is in a technology standpoint is just the cool stuff we're doing with AI and just how fast we can move nowadays.
And can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have features built into AI. Some of them help you rewrite your messages, help you craft your messages better for the audience that you're tailored to, and things like that. We also have AI that understands the intent of your conversation. So if somebody comes in and says, I'm going to kill you and your entire family, right? Well, obviously that's an opt out.
That's extreme.
That's extreme, right? But it understands that. Okay.
Mhm.
And why that's important is because typically opt outs only work off of keywords like stop, unsubscribe, whatever, right? But understanding the intent keeps you from wasting time and money messaging somebody that doesn't want it, but also keeping you out of potential legal problems with an individual who said, I told them to stop contacting me and they kept messaging me, right? Through some automated system or whatever, they kept messaging me, right? But we're smart enough to understand that they want out. On the flip side, we're also smart enough to understand if they're interested. So if they say, no, not right now, get back to me in August.
Mhm.
That's not a no, that's not a negative, that's actually a
Right.
positive, they're still interested, right? But we've developed our own AI platform that understands that. So inside Textdrip, there's some really cool features that have helped out with that. And then from a developer standpoint, there's so much cool stuff out there right now where you can just generate code, you can check code. You still have to have a solid understanding of design and how everything is working. Otherwise, you get yourself in some trouble. But what you can do right now with just taking an idea and creating systems and features is crazy. And we've moved so quickly over the past year on some of our development because of what AI has allowed us to do.
That's awesome. And on the flip side, right? Because the way I like to think of success is it's a two-sided coin, right? And on the flip side of success, you're going to have some challenges. So, can you tell us about what your biggest challenges are that you're facing right now?
Yeah, yeah, you're right. So there is the downsides to some success, and I think some of the biggest things that can come that you don't expect with the challenges of growing a business is how your role changes, right? So when you start off a company and it's just you or you and five employees, you can have a lot more direct management over them. But as your company grows and as you find your version of success, the new requirements that you have as a business owner completely change. And the hats that you wear, the way that you talk to your employees changes as well. I can't often go directly to an employee because if me, the founder and CEO of the company, goes to this employee, what do you think happens to whatever they were working on before I spoke to them?
Comes much more important.
Yeah, whatever I tell them is the immediate priority and they throw it out. And I could literally be having a casual conversation with them
Right.
about something. And it's like, oh, Phil's got me working on this and this is a priority. It's like, well, no, I was just talking to you about this idea. So managing some of that is definitely something that I have to change. And then how I have a conversation with my leadership team and develop them to help that cascade down to their employees has changed as well. And so a lot of that direction has to be more big picture and less in the weeds, kind of micromanaging that type of thing. Along with that, though,
Mhm.
it's a priority that I have the data feedback. And that has become more of a priority because it's impossible for me to know every step of the process that we're involved with projects from the development team, right? or it's impossible for me to know about every interaction that customer service has with our customers, right? It's impossible for me to know every interaction my sales team has had or the marketing efforts and things like that. So I need to look at a big picture from a data standpoint in order for me to make decisions that direct the ship in the right direction
Hmm.
or follow up with individual leaders or problem points in the business that need to be corrected, or maybe areas we need to hire more people or whatever that looks like. Those are kind of things that I think would be problems with success. And I don't necessarily problems, but definitely changes in mindset that I need to have now versus when I was direct to the business like I used to be early in the beginning.
And how are you addressing these?
Yeah, building tools. So that's a useful thing with AI is building tools. And you have to walk that fine line between micromanaging your employees or making them feel like Big Brother is watching them, right?
Mhm.
Versus having the data to be able to steer the ship in the right direction. And there's this balance. And we do, I hope, a good job of explaining to our employees why we're doing certain things. Like we over explain it because we really want to crush any misunderstandings on why something's happening. But explaining the purpose is to identify any roadblocks or any struggles in their area of the business. And we can't do that unless we have some sort of monitoring tools to understand that. Employees don't like a lot of paperwork, right? Like they don't want to spend half their day filling in paperwork. And so, any ways we can automate that for them and make the feedback loop as easy as possible, we definitely try to do that as well. And so, we build out a lot of custom tools. We have a custom employee portal that helps out a lot with our employees and being able to make sure that from my end, I have the data to make informed decisions.
And how's that been going for you so far?
Good, I think. Like I said, the employee surveys that we had last year were great. We continue to have great growth across the entire company. We continue to expand exponentially. So overall, I think it's working. We could get one of my employees on here and hear direct from them, but no, I think it's working, and I'm learning constantly every day. One of the common attributes that I hear from every successful person that I've ever interviewed
Mhm.
is they all continuously educate themselves. They never get comfortable with where they're at. And I would agree with that statement. I'm an avid reader. I'm constantly reading books. I'm reading two right now at the same time. And I'm constantly questioning what I'm doing and if it's relevant to today, because things I've done 5 years ago may not, specifically in marketing world, right? I mean, you look at marketing world and something you could have learned in college isn't even applicable anymore, right? There's new platforms, there's new ways of marketing. I mean, it's just completely different world out there now. And so continuously educating yourself, if you want to be successful, whether you're an entrepreneur, an employee, whatever you're doing, is an integral habit that you need to have, and that's continuing education. And I'm really an avid book reader, so I'm constantly looking for new ways to grow the business and be a better leader.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that as well. What books are you reading right now?
Yeah, you're gonna ask me that question. So I'm reading one. It's on goal setting. Measure What Matters by John Doerr.
Mhm.
So it's, how Google, Bono, and the Gates Foundation rocked the world with OKRs. So that's one book I'm reading. Can't remember the other book I'm reading. It's a paper book. I have a book club that I am running, and we do it every Thursday at 6 p.m. Initially, I was doing it just inside my company, and
Mhm.
then now we've expanded it outside of the company.
That's really cool. So we've been talking about your business for a while, but I also like to zoom out a bit and take a look at the bigger picture, right? And I was wondering, what are some of the trends that you're seeing right now in the industry? Have you seen any new developments that have caught your attention?
Obviously, AI. I mean, AI is everywhere.
Right.
That's good and bad. I mean, the good side is you can automate content faster than you ever have.
Mhm.
The bad side is I think we can all see a lot of it nowadays, right? Like I get these messages constantly through LinkedIn or email that takes my entire like everything, like, hey, doing a lot of amazing things there at Textdrip and Horse Farm too. Like they're literally just going through and pulling all of my stuff out and plugging it in there, and they all read the same, right? It's not original, right? And it has like so much information that if it was a real person, I'd be like, man, you're really stalking the hell out of me. Like it's a little bit creepy, right? But I know
Right.
it's obviously an AI thing going through and compiling it and stuff. And then I don't know, have you ever seen this like AI puts dashes in there instead of commas? Like that's kind of a dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that I've seen a lot of, and it weirds me out, and I immediately know it's AI when it comes through to me. And I get the purpose of it, and I'm sure people wouldn't be doing it right now if it wasn't effective. I just wonder how long it's going to be effective before it gets, people get burned out on it. I would say right now, though, in a world of AI, whether you're using AI or not, be authentic. Like that is the most important thing that we're missing right now, and that everything, including AI, needs it to train on. That we need is authentic people. What differentiates you as an individual, you as an entrepreneur, you as a marketer, you as whatever you're doing from everyone else, and make sure it doesn't lose your voice. So if you're using AI as a tool to help you generate content and ideas, make sure you're taking the time to recraft that content in your own voice,
Exactly. Yeah.
right? Because you're going to have somebody like me who reads it and goes, ah, it's AI garbage, get rid of it. But every once in a while, I'm going to read one of those that's like, okay, this guy's real. Like this is a real person that I'm talking to. And that's what I want is that I want to feel like that real authentic. And maybe they've just gotten really good at sounding real and authentic. But I can tell you one thing, they're different than the other messages that I'm getting. And
Right.
that's what stands out in this day and age. And it stands out not only for marketing materials, but also blogs and just overall content that we're putting out there and there in the web. Make sure that you're being authentic and real, right?
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you because I think AI it's a tool to supercharge human capabilities, not replace them. And I think that's where a lot of people end up going wrong. So no, I completely agree with you there.
I agree with you more, right? So yeah, if our coders, if they just were like AI generate this code and then they just plugged it up there without looking at it, right?
Right.
Chances are they're not going to be employed with me too long, right? But and it's the same thing with your content. You can't just have it generate your content, automate it, and go. You need to have
Exactly.
a hand in that. Now, honestly, like in this day and age, I'm even looking for like spelling mistakes. I just, as a breath of fresh air, like somebody actually wrote this thing, or grammar issues that's poorly written or whatever, because everything's so polished with AI right now that I think that's going to be kind of the differentiators. And you think about like TikTok, for instance, like the
Mhm.
videos that do really well on TikTok and trend are the normal videos, not the polished stuff, right? Like just the gritty looking ones. They do really well because I think people are getting kind of sick of just this AI polish type thing. They want a little bit more of that grittiness. So I don't know. There's probably some experts out there that'll argue with me on that. But me personally, I'm getting just overwhelmed right now with AI content, and I do think genuine human interaction is a little bit more relevant. And you have the ability to do that with text messaging. If I text somebody and I get an instant reply from somebody and I'm like, oh man, that's a real person on the other end. I'm more likely to engage with that business.
Yeah, no, no, I completely agree with you. As we wrap up, Phil, I like to end off every episode with this one same question that kind of comes out of left field for some people, but what is the most overrated piece of advice that you've encountered recently? I think you're going to have a better background to go off of with your successes podcast, but
Yeah.
yeah, what is that?
The most overrated piece of advice, geez, hustle till you die, I guess. Work ethic has certainly played a part in a lot of what I achieved, especially early on, right?
Mhm.
Having a great work ethic, I think, is incredibly important. But work ethic also, for me, was like a crutch, and it prevented me at the time from letting go of things. If you really, like, for instance, want to be an entrepreneur and want to scale your business, you got to have almost a lazy mentality. Now, it sounds crazy, but you have to have a mentality where you're going to let go of things and have other people do it. And so a lot of what I see on the internet is hustle, 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 hustle. But if you can take that work kind of thing and automate it, right? Instead of you sitting there keying out a bunch of text messages, you can put them on a drip campaign and have that thing handle that, right? Now you moved your time towards something else. And it could be the creative direction of the company, could be wherever you want to go with that. And you constantly have to watch that. I see so much on the internet that really talks about hustling harder, work, grind, 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 right? And I think that puts you in this mindset that you need to be working 7 days a week, 18-hour days if you want to be successful in life. I think that's a lie. What you should be constantly evaluating is this worth my time? Is it worth my time to be doing something that I could outsource to somebody else, that I could automate to somebody else and do things like that? And if you really want to scale and grow your business, do that. Is it worth my time to clean my house? Right? Is it worth my time to change my oil? Is it worth my time to do those things? For me, it's not. I mean, it's you go through get an oil change for $40 or $100 or whatever it costs you, right? I pay a cleaner to clean my house. It's going to be much cheaper than it would my hourly rate, right? And then she does a better job at it. So those are the things I would say to look at. There's a balance to it. Yes, work ethic will get you fine. But if you're trying to do everything yourself, if you can't get to a point where you want to let go of things, you will never reach a version of success that you're ultimately looking for.
Really well put, Phil. Really well put.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for coming on. This was an awesome episode. You shared some awesome insights with us. You brought a really unique perspective on, especially I think because of your podcast. You really had a way of consolidating this knowledge for us into these really clear insights. So I love that. Thanks for coming on, Phil.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
As we end today's episode of Making MarTech, we'd like to thank all our listeners. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share this and subscribe to our show so you don't miss the next one. I'm your host, Himnish Jindal, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.